All right, today's about typography. We're going to do a menu design for your Smoke and Salt logo. So let's get started. Let's go into Illustrator. We got to start here. I have this logo from my student last semester. Kind of cool, huh? So let's start a new file in Illustrator, and I happen to have the measurement already in here. So 8.267 by 11.693. And the reason for that is just I'm going to have you mock this up afterwards. And so that's the size that the menu needs to be for the mockup. So we'll create this. Now there's a couple things that we need to keep in mind. One is, let me go to the mockup. This is the mockup that you'll be doing. And do you see where the clip is? And there's several different kind of boards that you can use for this, but there's a clip there, so I want to kind of keep that in mind, and I'm going to make some guides. Before I start, let me move you guys away so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so let me put my guides back on. They are on. Let me put a ruler on, and I'm going to come down about 1.75 inches. That'll give me, where am I? Oh, guys are off. That'll give me kind of an area where the clip's going to be that I want to stay clear of. And then I also want a guide that's centered. Hopefully my smart guides will come on. If they don't, the other thing you can do is take a line like this and just draw it. And this is just with the line tool. Then come over here to your properties panel and center that line. And then go to guides, make guides. So remember, we can make guides from anything. So that tells me to stay care of the clip. This tells me where the center of the menu is. The other thing I want to do is you always want to set some kind of guide that tells you where your margins are on the outside. So I'm going to set a guide. And I want this pretty narrow because this is a menu and it's supposed to be, remember, Smoke and Salt is a little upscale Southern dining kind of thing. So we don't want it to be too crowded. So I'm thinking if it occupies that space, it'll be okay, maybe a little more narrow. And then I just center that and turn it into a guide. So guides, make guides. Now I have all of my guides locked. So if yours says unlock guides as an option, then yours are also locked. But I would lock them. You don't want this stuff accidentally being clicked. Now I just have to put in the text for the menu. So I'm going to place it. Now it's loaded up in your cursor to just drag that so that you have the text all in that one area. And then, of course, I'm going to want a second type box. So I'll just create one here also on the same line. And this one, let's go in a little closer. This one I'll bring over here. Now I want these a little bit in from the center also, right? I don't want them touching each other. So I'm going to just put that on either side like that. And then this text I can get rid of. Just going to hit Command A and get rid of it. And I want to thread it so that this text, when it doesn't have room anymore, will go and flow into this text box. So all I got to do is touch on that right there. There it is. And when you touch right on it, it gives you this cursor loaded with copy, and I just put it there. So now the next thing to do is I probably don't want it coming up that high. That's where the clip is, but I want my logo, right? So I'm going to grab both of these, pull these down, and I'm going to go ahead and put my logo in so I can see how much room it needs. So my logo is here. I'll just put it directly in. And I'll put it up top. Now I want to stay clear of that clip. So I'll size it with the Shift key to keep it proportional and Option so it's centered. It sizes it from the center. I'm going to bring that up. It could probably go a little over that mark because the clip is up above that, but not too much. So now, knowing that that's where my logo is, I'm going to bring these down even further. So maybe like that. Okay, now the next thing I have to do is start styling this text. Now, I believe that in your branding guide, you have a secondary typeface chosen to go with your logo. I hope so, and I hope it's a good one because now you need it. So for these, because this is a sans serif, and I want to talk to you about basic combining rules. When you have a sans serif type, you can pair it with a serif font, or you can pair it with another type in the same family. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pair it with a sans serif font that matches it, the same family, and then a little serif typeface also for kind of little spots to keep it interesting. You can make the whole thing one typeface. That's much more doable if that typeface has bold, if it has some weights and some widths to it. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck with just a lot of the same type over and over. So choose your secondary font good. What I would do, if you haven't, now some of you already went through this process and you chose a nice typeface to go with your font, and some of you haven't. So make sure that you choose something. If you somehow you did your logo with a typeface from DaFont or 1001 fonts, it's not going to have a family. There's not going to be any other weights or widths on that. So you're going to have to choose a typeface, and I would go to Adobe Fonts where you can get something that has a family. Because when it comes to styling a lot of text like this, you want to be able to have some options. So make sure that you make those choices good. And then the best way to do something like this is with style sheets. So style sheets, when you have something like a menu, you're going to want a consistency throughout the copy and the subheads and all of that. You don't want to be kind of guessing because what I see when you don't use style sheets, what I see is like all of the type is styled except for this piece is wrong. Or this one's slightly condensed because you forgot you were using Helvetica regular and you moved to Helvetica condensed and like that. So the best way to do it is with style sheets. And you have two kinds of style sheets. These are both under Window, Type, and you'll see Character Style and Paragraph Style. Now we might not even need character style. It's kind of a secondary just for little pieces here and there, but paragraph styles we will need. So what I normally do, you can't set up these styles beforehand because you don't really know what you want. So you just start. And I'm going to start with the word starters. So this is kind of a subhead, really. So I'm going to call this a subhead style, but first I'm going to style it. So I want to make it Gill Sans. And I'm going to make it semi-bold because this is a subhead. I'm going to make it 10/14. And remember that when the leading has parentheses around it, that just means it's auto. That Illustrator thinks if you're using 10-point type, you want 12-point leading, but we don't. We want 14-point leading. So we've got this 10/14. I want to track it out. And a lot of the reason I'm doing small type and tracking it out is because it's all caps. And all caps have a way of kind of being loud if you don't do something. I also want to make this centered. And then I'm going to put some space below it. This is how you're able to do all this styling. We can do this entire menu in one text box or two that are linked. You don't have to make a bunch of text box, and you don't want to. You want to do them all in the same text box. And then you say, well, what about spacing between them? How can you control the spacing? Well, all you've got to do is go to the paragraph panel, which is docked right here in properties always. Click on the three dots to expand it, and you're going to see a magical thing there. These last two measurements, do you see them down here? So you'll see space, that box is space before the paragraph, and this box is space after the paragraph. And that is really key. Without that, I don't think we could style it all in the same box. But because of that, we can put 15 points of space. Now we've, for the most part, got this set up. So all you have to do is on the paragraph styles panel, which I opened from the type, you hit a plus, and it'll give you a new paragraph style. It calls it paragraph style 1. You double click on that, and you're going to name this subheads, so that you name your you name your styles by how they're used. So then we have the name of the item. I would call it food item. And it doesn't matter what you name these, as long as it means something to you. So this one, I'm going to do Gill Sands semi-bold. Gill Sands again. I'm going to go semi-bold, but I'm going to go a little smaller. This is 8 over 12. Over 12. And let's make this all caps, which I can also do right within the style sheet. So I can open those 3 dots and click on all caps. That way, no matter how it's typed, this will always be all caps. And so I'm going to center that. And then I'm probably going to want space below that. And we'll dial that in as we go along, but I'm going to say we're going to want maybe 3 or 4 after that. And okay, so that now we'll name as, we'll hit a plus, and I'll call this what? Like food category. And then this text right here is actually the ingredients in that particular item. So that I want small, and this is where I'm going to use my second type. So I've got the first type that's matching the logo. It's a sans serif, just like the logo, but I want to mix it up a little bit. And you don't have to. You could keep the whole thing, but I'm going to mix this up a little bit. And I'm going to do this in New Baskerville, or just Baskerville. That'll work. I'm going to say Baskerville, and I want this to be smaller. I want this 9 over 11. And I also want it italic. Italic, and I want it centered. And that looks pretty good. I'm thinking I might want to break that so that I don't really want these items to take up the full length, the width of this box right here. And now here's something important to note. If I hit return, it turns it into a new paragraph, and then each of these 2 paragraphs. So if I hit return right now here, then it starts a new paragraph and then that's applied. It's better if you hit shift return. That keeps it together as one paragraph. So remember that. So this looks pretty good for now. We can always change it. And I'm going to call this food ingredients. It doesn't matter. You can even name them 1, 2, and 3, or however you want to do it. And this is a lot like, for those of you that have done any web design, this is how style sheets, cascading style sheets are for a website. They have H1, H2, H3, paragraph 1, 2, 3, like that. We're just naming them a little different. So now all I have to do to check and see how this is working is I just go through and apply it. So cheese board is the food category. This is the ingredients. This is the category. This is the ingredients. This is the category, and you have to select the type. So I have to select all the type, and I want to apply food ingredients. And I think we'll break all of these into 2, so they're not taking as much. So I'll do creamy. Remember, shift return. And then served in a white wine butter sauce. I'll break it at topped. And I'll break this at fried. Let's see, where did I break it? So this is what I have according to all of my style sheets that I've set up. I have the big subhead, and then I have the food category, which that should probably be this food category, but whatever. This would be, maybe you can change these 2. So maybe I'll call this one food name. And then this one is the category. Oops. You don't want to be in a text box when you're messing with your styles. So then this one is the category. There we go. That's better. Okay, so the only problem, and let me go back and put this as text. This is the ingredients. Okay. So there's a couple issues here. Right now, there's more space below the food name than there is separating the foods. So I need to change that. So what I can do is I could take the way that you change that. There's a couple things you could do. You could open up one of these style sheets. Like I could open this up and make changes here. So in indents and spacing, I could change it. But then you can't really see how it's going. So I would rather change it by visually changing it and then redefining the style sheet with those numbers. So let's take the word cheese board, and we can do it with that one. So it's, you see it's highlighted in our paragraph styles. That's good. That means we used it to apply that. Now I'm going to go down here and I'm going to adjust the space until it looks right. I want more space above it than below. So I'm going to go 3 below, and above it, space above, I'm going to go 5. Let's go 6. Now, do you see the plus there? That's telling me that there's, this type has been modified since it was, since we first set it up. So what you can do in this case, I want to redefine the numbers in that. You just go to redefine paragraph style. Now it has affected all of them. So now what do you think? Still needs space in between them. So I'm going to select cheese board. I go to paragraph. I'm going to put some space above. Right now I have 6 above and 3 below, but it looks like it needs maybe 10 if I can get away with it. And I may not be able to get away with it, but I'm going to try. So 10, and I'm going to say redefine paragraph style. How's that look? Not bad. Good enough to proceed. And then you just keep going. Ingredients. Whew! Done. And we have a little more room, so I'm going to actually make this one into 3. And I think this one also, because we want to keep these pretty narrow. And then I do this one also and make this one 3, or maybe we just use mashed over here. Okay, so this kind of gives us an idea now of how much space we have. And I can tell already from the space we have that we should have more space between these food items, right? It still looks like it's not enough space. So let's make it work for this 8-ounce elk tenderloin. So let's put 15, and we'll redefine. Every time you change something in it, you can redefine it. It'll affect the whole deal. So now we'll take this up here. That looks pretty good, right? We could break a couple more things. We could break this. We could break this into 3, and on and on. So this is where you can kind of finesse. But here is the beauty of style sheets. So first of all, everything is consistent, right? Everything is consistent. All the names are the same, the category is the same, and the ingredients are the same. But let's say that we decide that all the categories we're going to put in color so that they'll stand out a little bit. So I'm going to change it here and redefine it. So I want to make this red just because that's the easiest thing to do. Just orange red. And now it has the plus, right? And I'll just redefine it. Now each one of these subheads is red. And then what if I decide, ooh, not that red, and I go in, you can change any one of them, and I go here and I decide, you know what, actually what would be cool is if it were more of a brown. And so I make that one brown. It has a plus by it, so I just redefine it. Redefine that style. Now they're all brown. And then I realize I love that. I love it so much that I want to make all the text brown. So what you can do is grab one piece of text, make it brown, and then redefine. redefine the paragraph style. Now all these heads are darker brown, and I can take the body copy and do the same thing. Maybe the body copy would be kind of cool if it were just a tad lighter. And so I can go here and redefine that. And I'm going to put this in, I'm going to take out all of our guides and stuff so we can kind of see what we're doing. And then I can say, I've changed my mind again. I do actually want these subheads in a different color, or I want them bigger. That I can do too. So right now I have these 10, let's go 11. Redefine the style. It's not only a way of making sure that you're consistent with the way that you're organizing your type, but it also is a way for you to get in there and kind of noodle things without starting over. You can change anything here. I can decide that I want more spacing. So I can do it again. I can go to this one here, and I've got this at, paragraph on this one is 15 above it. Let's go 18. Redefine paragraph style. Using paragraph styles whenever you have multiple items allows you to make all kinds of changes. Like maybe I don't want the ingredients in italic after all. I can change it. It'll change the whole thing. Way better than going in there and messing with stuff. Now, the other thing you can do is, let's say that there's certain things in this menu that you want to make sure are bold. Wherever, like artisan cheeses, we want that bold. So we go over here and bold, semi-bold, italic. We want that to stand out. Now, we can't make that a paragraph style. Paragraph style goes from paragraph to paragraph. And remember, paragraphs start and stop with a return. And you can see all those by going to Type, Show Hidden Characters. Do you see all the returns I have here? And this line that's bent means that I forced it to break, but I didn't start a new paragraph. Whereas these ones down here, I broke them with a new paragraph. So I could just change that out by going back here, delete that, and then hit Shift Return. Now it becomes like that. So basically, these paragraph styles start at the beginning of the paragraph and they end at the end of the paragraph, and they blow through whatever's in there. You can't specify certain sections, but with character styles, you can. So let's highlight this. So I want to make that 9 point. I want to make it semi-bold italic. Then I would go to character styles and hit plus and call this emphasis. So wherever I want to put emphasis, I can use that one. And let's get rid of our hidden characters. So maybe frog legs, I want to emphasize Cajun. Or the escargot, oh, there's wine. So that way it's consistent. Wherever I have emphasized something, it's in that. Okay, so what you have to decide then is this working? And I'm going to show you some examples of menu designs, because this, I want you to understand that this is just to help you set this up. You could also just use one and go down the center like that and make the lines really long. You can put things in squares. You can do whatever you want. So we have our menu. This is very basic. I want to remind you again, I don't want to see 25 of these menus. This is just to show you how to organize the style sheets. Take a good look at the examples that I'm giving you on Canvas and be creative.